Risk retention. Risk retention is a second method for handling risk. An individual or a business firm may retain all or part of a given risk. Risk retention can be either active or passive. Active risk retention. Active risk retention means that an individual is consciously aware of the risk and deliberately plans to retain all or part of it. For example, a motorist may wish to restrain the risk of a small collision loss by purchasing an own damage insurance policy with a rupees 2000 voluntary excess. A homeowner may retain a small part of the risk of damage to the house by purchasing a householder's policy with substantial voluntary excess. A business firm may deliberately retain the risk of petty thefts by employees, shoplifting, or the spoilage of perishable goods. Or a business firm may use risk retention in a self-insurance program, which is special application of risk retention. In these cases, the individual or business firm makes a conscious decision to retain part or all of a given risk. Active risk retention is used for two major reasons. First, risk retention can save money. Insurance may not be purchased at all, or it may be purchased with voluntary excesses. Either way, there is often a substantial saving in the cost of insurance. Second, the risk may be deliberately retained because commercial insurance is either unavailable or can be obtained only by the payment of prohibitive premiums. Some physicians, for example, practice medicine without professional liability insurance because they perceive the premium to be inordinately high. Passive risk retention. Risk can also be retained passively. Certain risks may be unknowingly retained because of ignorance, indifference, or laziness. This is often dangerous if a risk that is retained has the potential for destroying a person financially. For example, many persons with earned incomes are not insured against the risk of long term disability under either an individual or group disability income plan. However, the adverse financial consequences of a long term disability generally are more severe than premature death. Thus, people who are not insured against the risk of long term disability are using the technique of risk retention in a most dangerous and inappropriate manner. In summary, risk retention can be an extremely useful technique for handling risk, especially in a modern corporate risk management program. Risk retention, however, is appropriate primarily for high frequency, low severity risks where potential losses are relatively small, except under unusual circumstances. An individual should not use the technique of risk retention to retain low frequency, high severity risks, such as the risk of catastrophic losses like earthquake, flood. Risk transfer. Risk transfer is another technique for handling risk. Risk can be transferred by several methods, among which are the following: transfer of risk by contracts, hedging price risk, and conversion to public limited company. Transfer of risk by contracts. Unwanted risk can be transferred by contracts. For example, the risk of a defective television or stereo set can be transferred to the retailer by purchasing a service contracts, which makes the retailer responsible for all repairs. After the warranty expires, the risk of a substantial increase in rent can be transferred to the landlord by a long-term lease. This risk of a substantial price increase in construction costs can be transferred to the builder by having a firm price in the contract rather than a cost plus contract.